So this is what we went with from BMR. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Hammerheads? Vanhammer HP, Craig coming at you. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and dive right into this video, but first I just want to say happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, from one veteran to another. Appreciate your sacrifice and your service. Alright, so if you've watched the past couple videos, you know we got the header installed in, and right now we're battling some header fitment issues. And so we've tried a couple things, and we have a couple other options to maybe help those fitment issues. All right, so we had a couple options to go with. One, go new motor mount bracket. Two, go new motor mounts. Or three, do both. The motor mounts and the motor mount brackets can help you drop the engine anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, but that's not really what I'm looking for, is to drop the motor, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. It may help, but I don't think it's going to. More what I'm looking for is, I think we're so close on where we need to be as far as fitment that maybe we're just barely touching. And the spot I'm worried about is the spot on the frame, that I really wanted to just shore the motor up, maybe, and keep it from moving. So this is what we went with from BMR. The reason we went with the motor mount: one, it's cheaper than the bracket by about $40–50. The motor mounts are cheaper than the brackets. It does allow for the 1/4 inch or 1/2 an inch that I thought maybe we might need to utilize, but again, when we get up underneath there, I'll show you that maybe I'm looking for more of just shoring up the movement of the motor as opposed to dropping it. Two, it'll probably be an easier install than actually going after the brackets, and I think ultimately you could do both, but just where finances and stuff are, I didn't want to go with both. And then I was worried about getting too rigid and ruining kind of our daily ride. This will probably have a little effect on the daily ride, kind of going with you know, a more solid motor mount. We're probably going to get a little vibration and stuff, but I'm hoping it won't be that bad, but it'll do what we need to do to keep this header contact from the frame. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at. I think we're going to go, you can adjust these pieces here for your drop, whether it be 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, or you can also do the stock height. So I think we're going to try the stock height first. Should be a pretty easy install. I took out one of the motor mounts when I did the passenger side header, when we did the header, so I kind of know what that entails already. We should be able to pop them out. Basically, we'll loosen them up. You loosen up the top nut, loosen up the two side nuts. We'll lift the motor with the jack a little bit, enough to then lift the bracket up, and then we should be able to slide the motor mounts out and then slide these in place and secure them down and drop the motor back down, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, we take a look at these mounts, and these are the way they set up. This is how you get your drop here. Each one of these top plates here is 1/4 of an inch. So if you want a 1/4 inch drop, you'll leave one of those off. If you want a 1/2 inch drop, you'll leave both of those off. If you want stock height, you leave both on. So, all right, so of course we'll come down in here If you can see down there, there's our 15 millimeter top motor mount bolt that we'll want to take off. And if you look down to the side, it's, I believe those are 13 on either side. So we can get that top bolt and that one side bolt on this side, on the driver's side. And then unfortunately on the passenger side, yeah, you notice you can't, we can get that side bolt down there for the motor mount, but we will not be able to reach the top one due to the header there, so the placement of the header. So we'll have to go under and get those. So just real quick, I'm going to loosen those and then we'll come back and I'll meet you back underneath the car and we'll hit up some other talking points and get those other bolts loosened. Okay, just a couple quick notes real quick. I did loosen this because we have the motor raised now, and so you don't want to put any pressure on your air intake tube. We took the top bolts off of each side, but I only loosened the side bolts on the motor mounts on one side. We're going to do one side at a time. Now let's go under real quick. I kind of show you some things we want to kind of take a look at when you take into consideration dropping your motor. First thing is your oil filter. Now we have it raised a little bit, so there's a little more room here, but just make sure, especially if you're doing the 1/2 inch, make sure you have clearance here and your oil filter won't hit the frame. Over here you'll take a look at, you see that we have some space here between the header and the steering column. Now this would not be my worry in dropping the motor. We have enough room here, but if you look up there towards the top one, and at the top, of course, we are lifted a little bit, but when you drop it down, it comes a little closer, and I think a 1/2 inch would be really close there. So that would be something you'd want to look at as well. Let's move on over to the passenger side. So like I said, we're lifted a little bit here. I actually think here there's enough clearance to where that wouldn't touch, but if you dropped it, it would bring that side by side with your starter, and you might get some more heat exposure on your starter. The other issue here, so we'll take a look right here. So this is where we're making contact. You can see the contact is right there in the middle of where I put this plastic here. And you can see, like, right there is the contact. And so if you look at that, that's probably an inch difference in the frame. So I think even dropping it a 1/2 inch isn't going to do it any good, or a 1/4 inch or whatever. So dropping it's not going to do it any good. The other thing is you can't probably see it through here, but then I think that makes that top pipe, if we were to drop it a 1/2 inch, that top pipe would probably then be coming in contact with the frame, even if it were to clear this bottom one. So I think I'd run into the same issue. So really our only options here, change this motor mount out, hope we can cut down on the vibration of the engine to keep it from contacting. And two, when we try this, what we're going to try to do again is kind of see if we can kick the motor over just a little bit, because I think with the motor mounts and everything, if I can maybe get another 1/8 of an inch or something like that, we may be good for sure. So anyway, I gotta loosen this one up just a little bit to get it out, but you can see motor mounts already. I mean, as soon as I take that bolt out, we're gonna be able to take that motor mount out. So it's gonna be an easy swap here. You're gonna be able to just take it out and slap that slap the new one back in, tighten it all down. So not really a hard job. Of course, you know, you always got to keep your engine supported here. But anyway, let me get this last bolt out. We'll pop that motor mount up in there, and then I'll give you a look at what it looks like, and we'll move on to the next, and hopefully it all helps. All right, we'll take a look. We got the OEM motor mounts out here, and they are heavy. They are heavy. I don't have the comparison for the aftermarket because we've already got those in, but aftermarket is about half the weight of the OEM. Part of the reason why, as you feel down here, these motor mounts are gel filled or have a liquid in them, and that's for ride comfort purposes. So we're hoping the ride quality doesn't change too much. It's not a full out stiff motor mount on the BMR one that we got. It's polyurethane, I guess, bushings or spacers on it, so it's not solid. So it's kind of like a go-between between this and an all-out, probably race or drag motor mount. So let's get up under here. I kind of go over a few things. Here we're on the driver's side. You can see the motor mount there. It's not all the way installed. We just have it installed on the frame there on the K-member. So of course you have your steering shaft here. Excuse me. I did not want to break this apart again, so if you see here, we did loosen the motor mount enough to, or the motor mount bracket enough to get the motor mount out and the new one in without. Let you look at this real quick. Again, here I was almost able to get that out with just the motor raised, but it lacked probably maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch. I just couldn't get it out, so I did have to go in here, loosen the motor mount bracket a little bit, just enough just to give it a little play, and then I was able to pop that motor mount out, put the other one in. All right, just real quick, we're pretty much finished here. Everything's put together, tightened down. There you go, you can check it out there. Okay, so what we did was, after we lined all that up, came over here with a pry bar against the header and had Mrs. Vanhammer slowly lower the engine the rest of the way while I pried that over. And let's see if you can get straight on look on that. I don't know, I think it looks to me like we got a little more room there. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but actually scraped away all that plastic that was up there. Obviously it was melting, but I think we got over just a little bit, just a tad more, and especially when I look at it from the top, it looks like that too. So hopefully we're a little more rigid here, a little more sturdy in engine movement, which of course in the end is supposed to equate to some power differences, because obviously we have a more efficient transfer of that horsepower. So anyway, that's what we're looking like. We're gonna get her back down off these jacks and let her set, and then take another look maybe from the top, check it out, and then we're going out of town on just a little trip today, so I get a good feel of what these motor mounts are gonna feel like. We're also back on E85 because we got our tune revision, so we'll get to check all that out here on this trip. But for now, the install's done. We'll come back here in a day or so, or maybe the next video, and I'll just kind of recap the motor mounts and tell you if I really felt any difference in the ride quality or anything like that. But I got a few things I got to sure up, got to put the tube back on, connections and stuff. We'll get her back down, take her for a little ride and see how all that goes. So anyway, there it is, BMR motor mounts. Be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe. We're still bringing the content during the winter here. And as always, drop the hammer. Peace.
Do it.